Hey Maker, join me as I team up with real makers to brainstorm the photos needed to turn more shoppers into buyers in this listing photo audit. I'm Christina Nicole, product photography coach for makers, and today we're diving into how to transform your photos into your best sales tool. Let's get started.
All right, my name is Eva Edmonds, and I am the maker behind Jolly Harbor Soap Mrkt. And I started my soap making journey some 12 years ago and turned it into a business in 2018 officially.
That's awesome.
So mostly local, and I sell handmade soaps. I have a variety of handmade cold process soaps. I do have some other accessories that I sell along with them, but my baby is the handmade soaps. That's what I really love.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today and participating in this. I really appreciate you. And we'll just jump right on in. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to take a look at your listing. Okay, so we're filling all the 10 slots. We don't have a listing video. We've got all angles of the box here. But overall, we've got kind of, just similar photos. I do like the box components where you can read like the information on the box and that kind of stuff. But what we want to consider when we're looking at building out a listing, there's kind of two components to it. When we're looking at that first thumbnail image, we want to make sure that we are grabbing attention in search, and we really kind of want to focus on creating a thumbnail that is going to appeal to the way that your product is getting found.
Yeah, when I adjusted for the all-time search,
Uh-huh.
like all time, it showed up that way. Yeah.
Yummy colloidal oatmeal. And then we've got the coconut honey soap, soft skin soap. That's an interesting one to me. As somebody who uses natural products, all of these are kind of interesting to me. And then is this Google Analytics or is this coming from like Google traffic to your Etsy shop, the coconut milk soap?
Yeah, I went onto Etsy Analytics and it
Yeah.
just said, would that be just the general Google search?
Okay. It sounds like coming from Google. So if somebody were to go to Google, type in coconut milk soap, they are getting presented with your listing, is what it sounds like. Okay. And then you're actually using coconut milk, oats
Hmm.
and honey soap bar, skin soothing, gentle soap bar. Do you remember your numbers on the keywords like for the yummy colloidal oatmeal? Was that
Like, would that be in stats?
Yeah, if you go to, it should say the search volume.
Okay, all time. Let me
Like if you
look.
go to the actual listing.
I
Hold
have to admit, I'm not super fluid in my way of getting around and finding stuff.
on.
So,
Okay. So when you go to stats,
okay, in stats. Okay.
in stats at the very top, you can do a custom date.
Hmm.
And then if you scroll down to the bottom,
So I had it on all time. So like the whole time I've had Etsy, but this is showing for all products.
you've got your all-time, click to the top. It's showing your visits, orders, revenue, all of that, right? You're going to
Right.
scroll down a little bit until you get to the part that says shoppers viewed your listing however many
Okay.
times. And then
And then
here's each of the listings.
okay, I found the bar now. So,
Okay. So like if I click into one of mine,
mhm.
it will, and then I scroll down, it'll show here search terms. So,
Right, I got it.
okay. And so this right here is kind of the number I'm looking for. Just curious, like if that volume's like really high for, because it's just such a unique keyword component, like the
Yeah.
words being put together. I'm just curious if it's a very high volume or like I
Um,
would say from like my wooden signs to my personalized wooden signs, that's a pretty big gap. So these two are pretty high volume versus like these other ones that are only coming in a little lower. So I would pay a lot of attention to these just because
yeah,
and wooden signs is generic, but wedding gift, I did pay attention to that. You know what I mean? And so I
right.
kind of attuned my images on Etsy and my marketing on Etsy to be wedding gifts, if that makes
Okay.
sense.
Sure, sure. That makes sense. Yeah.
So I think we still have a little bit of experimenting to do when it comes to your first thumbnail image. If we were to, let's just do this keyword, and you've mentioned that your overall aesthetic is kind of that lodge, rustic, natural look. We've had some discussions about potential ideas around that. And I think that, just even looking at your competition, a lot of times with these natural elements, we're going to get more of that, light, bright, and airy look. Um, we've got to be careful with putting, unless that listing is, which it doesn't appear to be because it's a 687, we need to be careful with putting like 6 bars of soaps into one photo.
Okay.
Or this one here where they've got 3 bars. This one has multiple bars. Etsy, they released some new image terms, and one of them said that the first thumbnail needs to be accurate in quantity as well. So, and a lot of these are just ways to get people to trust your listing. If I were to click into that and see 6 bars and then found out the listing only came with 1 bar, I may back out, which could then hurt your conversion for that keyword searched. Just we have to be mindful of that kind of stuff too, because then that tells Etsy that that listing is not relevant for that specific keyword. So we want to just be as clear, concise, and accurate as we can. None of these images, this one's interesting to me. I like that one. Same with this, but none of them are really jumping out to me in a quality aspect. So that's a good thing because you're gonna be rocking this soon. And I think that we can go kind of 2 ways when it comes to soap. It's kind of like candles. We get kind of a variety of styled components that we can do. Of course, we can style it in its, natural environment, kind of a bathroom type setting. We can style it based on scent, like what it's going to smell like, ingredients that it's made of. So we have like a lot of different components that we can play with there. And again, as far as which, I recommend incorporating multiple style components, especially those ones that can show and use, show context, ignite the senses, those kind of things. And then we can kind of adapt which one is the thumbnail based on how your data is presenting in a few months. But again, like this one pops out to me, and it is like natural elements, but I also think when we look at as we're going through search, we talk about contrast being attention grabber. So it's not just choosing a setting, props, and all of that that are going to be super relevant to the person who's buying the product. It's also incorporating some of those compositional components, attention grabbing components of contrast. In this one specifically, we have a pretty decent contrast between the soap and the ingredients and these background elements, right? So that kind of just makes the soap jump out and puts a lot of focus on it. And contrast can be done in a lot of ways. Color, texture, focus.
Yeah, there's some pretty pictures. I hadn't tried that search for a long time where you kind of follow the word trail, with its
Mhm.
suggestions that come up. So I'm going to do that.
Hey, real quick, I want to pull back the curtain and show you how these listing photo audits actually happen. Every month, I sit down and batch record these episodes, diving deep into real product listings to show what works, what doesn't, and how to improve. Once they're edited, they get posted here for everyone to learn from. But here's the thing. If you're watching this right now, you're only seeing the polished public version. Members of my Photo Fix Studio monthly subscription get exclusive early access to these audits before they ever go live, and they're raw and unedited. And that's not all. As a Photo Fix Studio member, you'll also get the opportunity to ask your product photography questions and apply for your own listing photo audit as well as product photo critiques. This means tailored feedback for your specific product so you can get the support you need to start taking better product photos. So if you're ready to take your product photography to the next level and get insider access to everything the Photo Fix Studio has to offer, click the link right up here or head to the description below this video and join a community of like-minded makers facing similar struggles. See you inside.
Let's jump into the other types of photos. So in this listing specifically, they get one bar, correct? No variations.
Correct.
Okay. We have the ideal customer, sustainable lifestyle, seeking eco-friendly destinations while traveling, choosing sustainability over glam, entertaining friends and family with games, flavorful foods, and outdoor picnics is a must-do. Having high quality products, including soap, is something she searches carefully for. Supporting handmade. So a value in supporting handmade, sustainable focused businesses, cares about what they put on their body, all that kind of stuff. So I am actually your ideal customer. And for me, I have a hard time I buying soaps from shops that I don't know, because a lot of them won't disclose all of the ingredients. So is that something that you feel comfortable doing?
Yeah, I do. In fact, I have my ingredients listed in the description on each one.
Are they on your box as well?
It is.
Is that, remind me of like the compliance there? Like, is that required?
If I'm selling it just as a product to clean the body, cold process soap, lye soap, then no, ingredients are not a regulated requirement in the US.
Okay.
However, I know I like to look at ingredients, and my target customer cares about what they put on their body, so they would want to know.
Yep. When we go to build out these additional photos, we definitely want to consider the questions people may ask first. I think for this type of product, ingredients is going to be a big one. And you do show it here on your box. So I think either creating like a photographic that talks about the ingredients, and maybe you have a photo that maybe that's where you insert kind of that photo of like different ingredients on like that you use to make your product, or even just showing the back of the box here with like a title, addressing those ingredient components, addressing those potential sensitivities early on, I think is going to be important especially for your ideal customer. Those things matter to her, right? So we want to address those immediately. Then we have, just basic components of either the outsize of the bar, or even giving, I don't know how important it is for, like, I look at 4.25 ounces and that makes no sense to me. For some people, it may, even showing potential measurements, and I know that can kind of vary a little bit, but getting into kind of that size factor, I would kind of be curious myself to know usage. Everybody's use is going to be kind of different, but how long is this bar going to last me?
All right, that's good to know.
This tray, does this have little like holes in it to release the water, or is it just like kind of collect the water, but get the water off the soap?
It's a natural wood. So again, sticking with that natural, it's just carved. They're cut. So that's actually the shape all the way down the piece of wood.
Yeah, so the water doesn't like touch the actual soap. So that is another thing. If anybody, watching has ever purchased handmade soap, if you let the soap sit in any kind of puddle, anything like that, it deteriorates the life of it significantly. So I think even educating them on, that component, especially you sell these in your shop as well as a supply, right?
Right.
So that is a great opportunity to upsell them. Same with, what would you specifically call this? I know it's kind of like a washcloth, but what's the exact name for it?
Well, my listing name is Cecil Fiber Washcloth, woven Cecil washcloth or something like that.
Okay. So it is considered a washcloth. So yes, like I think maybe having a graphic towards the end that encourages, so this is encouraging upsells. It's going to potentially increase that cart value, but not just saying, hey, visit my shop to get, a soap tray or a washcloth. Hey, think about pairing, your order with this soap tray and the benefits of it. I know that it elongates the usage, but it could be worded better than that.
Okay. So instead of just the picture, add graphics on the picture.
Yes, a great way to do this is in Canva, but you have access to my Etsy photographics that sell, and there's over 100 kind of built out templates where you can insert your images and add little text components to it. And I have those broken down, like where we look at like a sizing graphic. You can even do a care instruction graphic where you mention like how to get the most from your soap, or how to make your soap last the longest, like whatever wording resonates with, your brand. And you tell them to use a tray, and then you can put in parentheses like visit my shop to purchase one, or add one to your order today by going here. Let's see here. You got packaging. You have great branded boxes. I think we need to make sure we're putting a lot of focus on that. So the first one thing that I kind of want to mention, and it's interesting because it's not necessarily wrong, but we are kind of coming off of this trend of these studio shots on white. But the way that I like to kind of describe it is like these studio shots on white, sometimes they're necessary, but to me, they're very like feature based. So we're going to provide some like factual information. We want to show exactly what they're going to get. And then when we get into kind of some of the other photos, we can make them a little more branded, more styled, and that kind of component. So that's something I'd like to see you work towards as well. Talk to me about email lists. Do we have an email list that we are trying to push people to? Do we have an incentive for that?
That's another thing. I do have an email sign up, but I am not actively using it, which
Okay.
is pathetic, and I need to work on that.
I mean, don't we have a long list of things that we need to work on? Always.
Yes, yes. It's one of those
Always.
things where I'm like, I know I need to, and I'll send an
Yeah.
email like once in a while, but I'm not consistent, and
Okay.
I just don't have a system.
Well, when you get to a place where you feel like that's something you want to do, a great thing to create is like just a graphic that encourages them to join that list. Again, we know that incentivizing them is going to increase your chances of them actually wanting to join, all the things. So that's an easy graphic because you can literally create that and put it into every single listing and just do it kind of on repeat. I'm looking to see if there's any additional information in your description that we would want to address. Let's talk about the listing video quick. How do you feel about kind of recording like either overhead, like shots of you doing some of the behind the scenes of making the soap to really push that handmade in-house value? Been creating any videos?
I have not for a while, but I do. I have in the past. I went through a phase, and for Instagram is what I was focusing on. I never really thought about editing them or making them specifically with Etsy postings in mind. But yeah, that is some part of what I'm wanting to do. So yeah, I definitely want to. I have a way to set up overhead now with either my phone or my camera. So
You can get just some kind of like overhead setup, or depending on what type of product you're doing and how you're making your stuff, if you can just get into the habit of recording yourself while you create, like no
mhm.
expectation. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the exact product that you're selling in the listing. It's just to
Mhm.
really kind of show people, your process.
Okay. Yeah, I like that.
Did you have any questions in regards to the types of photos, or any questions at all?
Well, because I do want to take some stylized, like some in use in our shower, like sitting in the shower, just more
Mm,
lifestyle type things. So ideas on that, like
okay.
what could a thought list look like?
In use can just be like kind of like a bathroom counter type setting where you have like maybe a towel draped over your backdrop. You've got like your little toothbrush holder, or just certain elements that would be on a counter. That could be
Sure.
one component. The scent component, so either emulating the scent like lavender. I like anytime I shoot a soap with lavender, I like to include lavender in the scene, even if it is like a bathroom setting, sometimes in kind of including both that sense receptor, because as soon as somebody sees that lavender, it's such a strong scent that they're going to immediately be able to smell it, and it's going like there's so much emotion around scent and taste.
I noticed doing a little scan through when you were doing the little search on Etsy itself for
Mhm.
other providers, that they had the little video that would pop up, the little live video pop
Yes.
up when you scroll across it. I'd like to learn how to incorporate that too.
So this is a browser component. So when you are searching Etsy search on a browser and you hover over a listing, if that listing includes a video, it'll start playing. On
Okay.
mobile, what happens is you have the opportunity to swipe. And on mobile, you can actually swipe through all the listing photos without ever clicking into the listing, which is kind of a cool feature.
All right. Good reminder. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you so much for joining me today. And you will have an opportunity. I'm going to check back in with you. And I would love to kind of take a look at the listing once you get some stuff put in there and give you a little critique once you have the time to implement some of this.
Awesome. I look forward to it. Thanks so much, Christina. I'll be working on it and keep you up to date.
Thank you. You have a good day.
Have
So that's a wrap for this listing photo audit. If you want to watch more, you can find additional episodes right here. See you next time.